Hello there. All right. This is the unseen truth of India world needs to know. Unseen truth of India world needs to know. I think there should be a comma in there.
What is the first image comes to your mind when you hear the name of India? Like this, or this?
Honestly, I had a roommate, and the one thing I know is that he wouldn't use a blinker when driving. And the other things, a lot of color and a lot of tradition. That's the first thing that always came to my mind when I thought of India.
Right? Because your media mostly present such similar images of India in front of you. Okay, let me show you something different than your media. If I say this is India, will you believe me? Maybe not, because most probably you have never.
You never see that. Like what is it? They always what is it? The Life of Pi, Slumdog Millionaire. They always try to show the worst of the worst instead of what great India has to offer, what amazing spectacles are truly there. Like, I honestly had no clue that that they had that I don't know what it's called. I should probably know it already. I've seen it like 4 times now. The statue that's like 4 times bigger or 10 times bigger than the Statue of Liberty. I had no clue that even existed. I had no idea. All I knew about is we have the Statue of Liberty, and it was gifted to us from France. That's all I knew. And I had it's how limited my knowledge truly is one thing. But then again, it's just the things that people just don't talk about or don't share, or it's just not very well known. It's just
see India in this way. But actually, this is real India which has been hidden from you. The slums, busy and chaotic cities you see on TV or mobile is only a smallest part of India. India is actually pretty normal. And this is the one thing that
normal? Yeah. I don't like that term, a phrase, normal. There is no such thing as normal. If you're trying to compare yourself to America and you see that as normal, there's something wrong with the terminology in the word normal. So you can say more advanced than people expect, or more rural. I hate that word. Rural, more modern than people assume. But saying normal just is.
A lot of people don't understand about India. Okay, let me show you some major cities of India. This is Mumbai. This is Delhi. This is Kolkata. This is Gurgaon. This is Noida. This is Hyderabad. This is Pune. This is Bangalore. This is Chennai. This is
that's amazingly
Surat.
Beautiful.
This is Thane.
Hang on, where's
Pune. This is Bangalore. This is Chennai.
That right there is just an architectural marvel. I mean, I know that a lot of this it is just there for the beauty and the spectacle of it, but it works. It works. You got this man-made pond, lake right here. You see the fountains and everything. It's just amazingly beautiful, this architecture. And it honestly looks like a freaking airport. And to some degree with the friggin' line right here, but it doesn't look like it's an airport at all. But yeah, this is an architectural marvel. At least I believe so. But then again, I'm not an architect. But this just looks amazing. This is an amazing facility. I wonder what the heck it is. That's something I need to know. What the heck is this building? Because if it's an apartment complex, that's even more amazing. Because I'd be down to live there.
This is Surat. This is Thane. And there are many such modern cities in India. Okay, let's come to the rural part of India, and I'm pretty sure that according to you, the Indian villages are look something like this or this, right? But actually, this is not even 5% part of Indian villages.
Yeah, that's like the rural, the completely out in the middle of nowhere type of location.
More than 95% of Indian villages are look something like this. Due to the large population of India, the Indian villages are also so big. Look at this. This is not a city or town, but it's a village called Madhapur, located in the Indian state of Gujarat. After a lot of struggle in 1947, when India got independence from the British Empire, India's economy was only $25 billion. Even in 1991, India's economy was less than the economy of Paris and London. And now India has more economy than the France and the UK. In 2014, India's economy was ranked 10th in the world, but now in 2022, India has become the 5th largest economy in the world with a huge GDP of $3.5 trillion. In just last 8 years, India has overtaken 5 major economies like Canada, Russia, Italy.
You know a lot when the United States isn't even qualified in this, because they're
Brazil, France, and the UK, and this is really impressive. India is the fastest growing major economy in the world, and according to IMF,
well, that's the thing. India had nowhere to go but up, because they were like, I'm not saying that they were, but with being overseen by another power, they had no room to grow. They weren't able to grow. So the fact that they finally got their independence, they struggled with what they wanted to be, whether a socialist government or a democratic government. And I think am I correct that that's somewhere in between, that it's struggling to be both? But yeah, you have to struggle. You've basically started from the ground up. There was only room to grow, and making the right choices is what I don't like. The WhatsApp selling information, yeah, but yeah, that's only room to grow, and it's honestly, I think it was the best. As bad as that sounds, it was the best because literally, India had the ability to see where everyone else had failed. Like, I absolutely hate company policies. I absolutely hate, how like I've worked in the job labor force for so long. I know how they belittle their own worker, the way they try to cut corners to make it on paper like they're doing a great job. But then you have something like Tata pop up, and it's just like, how can they do something like that when I've been so exposed to what companies are, well, in Western society, that's seeing the way they're actually done when they've been grown in the past 50 years. They care about the people that work for them because they literally are them. They were there not that long ago. So they weren't born into it. At least most of them weren't. Most of them actually see what it's like. So that's...
India is set to surpass Germany and Japan to become the world's third largest economy by 2027. India is already the third largest economy in the world in terms of PPP GDP with a huge GDP of $11.7 trillion. And by 2030, India's nominal GDP is expected to be $8.5 trillion, but India's potential is much more than this. After the USA, Russia and China, the Indian military is the fourth most powerful military in the world, and with a budget of $76.6 billion, India has third largest defense budget in the world. Over 1.45 million active personnels, over 1.15 million reserve personnels, and over 2.52 million paramilitary, the Indian military is the largest military in the world with a total 5.13 million military personnel.
And I'm pretty sure that's only going to grow. I know a lot of the U.S. soldiers, military, armed forces, whatever branch they are, a lot of them are backing out because the culture has changed drastically in just a few years. A lot of them don't like being disrespected or demeaned. That a lot of them are actually, so the force, the soldier, everything is growing weaker. So we're going to end up taking a few steps down on the ladder.
India is also a nuclear-armed country. The country is holding some of the most powerful nuclear weapons in the world, such as intercontinental ballistic missiles, Agni 5, Agni 6, K5 and K6, which has a massive range of...
I mean, that's great, but I don't know if that's something to brag about. It's never great to be a part of the the ones who might be blamed for the end of the world. That used to just be America and Russia that would be blamed for that. And now there's so many other nations just popping up out of nowhere to be added onto that list.
5,000 km to 12,000 km. Even some experts say that India hidden a dangerous weapon called Agni 7 or Surya, which has a massive range of 12,000 km to 16,000 km. There are only 4 countries in the world that have anti-satellite weapons, and India is one of them. India has capability to destroy the communication system of any country in the world by destroying their satellite in the space. The Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO) is among the world's top 5 most successful space agencies. ISRO has successfully launched over 386 foreign satellites for 36 different countries, including satellites of USA, Germany, France, and the UK, and successfully launched over 130 for Indian origin satellites. There are many misconceptions about India have been born in the world, especially in the West, and that's why many people make the mistake of underestimating India. For example, in 2013 when India announced that India will also send its satellite and rover to Mars, the New York Times made fun of India like this. But after
Oh my gosh, it's always funny because that kind of stuff always eggs people on. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of thing, as demeaning and not demoralizing, really, it's more aggravating. As demeaning and aggravating as it is, it would spark a fire underneath, you know, India probably was enraged and would see that and be like, yeah, we're not gonna let those idiots make fun of us, because the New York Times isn't much to scoff at It is a lot to scoff at now, since it really doesn't. It's no longer holding the weight it used to, and I guess it was for stuff like this.
In just 1 year, in 2014, India became the first country in the world to reach Mars in the first attempt. And just a few years later, in 2017, India created an incredible world record by launching 104 satellites from a single rocket. And then,
see, this is the thing that's strange, because I'm a movie guy. So what was it? The Mars, the one with Matt Damon, where he gets stranded on Mars, and the fact that they go to China for their assistance makes no sense, because the next, well, you could go to Elon Musk for something like that too, but it's just like, if you're gonna go to another nation that actually has some of the best, you know, engineers, you would. But I know it was just for the money aspect and just for allowing it to be shown in China, but you wouldn't. You'd go to like India, or what was it? Crap. I forgot the island off of China where all the chips come from. Like 95% of the chips come from. You basically work with them. But I always found that strange. I was just like, why? And yeah, because it's just like, you could go other places, which would be less authoritarian and probably be nicer in the long run than, you know.
India made fun of New York Times like this. This is called sweet.
Fireworks. Yes, they're fireworks.
Revenge. India is among the world's 4 countries that have successfully reached Mars and Moon both. Other are USA, Russia, and China. And among the 5 countries that have their own GPS navigation system, other are USA, Russia, China, and Japan. After USA and China, India has third highest number of billionaires in the world. As of 2022,
well, yeah.
India has total 237 billionaires. The Indian stock market is the fastest growing major stock market in the world. Even 2 out of the world's 10 largest stock exchanges are Indian. And India is said to be world's the largest stock market by 2030, with a total expected market cap of over 11 trillion.
You know, how could I get in on that? I mean, so honestly, one of the things that I think, I don't know if they are, correct me if that's the case, but you have to be like a born Indian citizen in order to like own land, to, you know, play the stock market, to do all that in India. Because I know that's something that went wrong in the US. You can be a foreigner or not even a citizen, and you can come and buy up land and do whatever you want. So it's just like one of those things that if they do it that way, it makes it more beneficial to be a citizen. You can do all that. You're more likely to grow, because right now, there are some laws in place to prevent foreign nations or from buying out companies, but at the same time, it's I don't know. But if that's the case, I know I'm stumbling over my words, but if that's the case where you have to be like an Indian citizen, then I would never have a chance of diving into that market. It'd be like, gosh dang it. Well, it's the thought that counts.
$10. The world's fastest growing startup ecosystem. In 2014, India had only 400 startups, and as of 2022, India has over 77,000 startups, which makes India globally the third largest startup ecosystem in the world after USA and China, as well as India has third highest number of unicorns in the world. The country is home to the 108 unicorns with a total valuation of $341 billion. India is already among the top 5 most industrialized countries.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what a unicorn is, other than the mythical creature, and I'm assuming that there aren't unicorns in India, so I'm assuming I just don't know what the actual meaning for it is.
With a total output of $900 billion, and it is said to be third most industrialized country by 2030, with an expected industrial output of more than $3 trillion.
That smoke is not clean.
Currently, India is the 8th largest exporter in the world. Total export of India was $675 billion in 2021. And the country is on the way to become the third largest exporter in the world by 2030 with an expected export of more than $2 trillion.
So hopefully I start seeing made in India on most of the things I purchase pretty soon. I'd actually prefer that than what I see now.
India is emerging as factory of the world due to its large skilled workforce. Even in 2021, India overtaken USA and became the second most attractive manufacturing destination globally, second only to China.
Well, yeah, because America doesn't make anything here. We can't afford to. It's too expensive. We outsource all our labor.
Production. India is the largest producer of tractor, two-wheeler, spice, dairy products, milk, ginger, turmeric, and sugar. Second largest producer of smartphone, steel, cement, vegetable, fruit, rice, wheat, and cotton. Third largest producer of electricity, renewable energy, gems, and jewelry. Fourth largest producer of cars and trucks.
I'm actually surprised it's the third largest with like gems and jewelry. I thought that would be more like near the top.
The Indian textile industry is the second largest textile industry in the world with a total valuation of over $225 billion. The country is well known as hub of information technology. The annual revenue of Indian IT industry is more than $200 billion, and it is said to be $350 to $400 billion by 2025 and more than $1 trillion by 2030. Also known as the pharmacy of the world, the country's massive pharmaceutical industry is the source of more than 50% of global demand for various vaccines. India is the largest provider of generic drugs globally, over 40% generic drugs in the USA and over 25% of...
Yeah, but I'm not a big fan. Well, generic drugs. Okay, generic drugs are okay. The ones you get over the counter, fine. The ones that are prescribed to you, let's just say I'm kind of against of how they overprescribe here. Like, especially after COVID 2020. Yeah, I think it went up from being like 70% of people being prescribed as now like 95. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but I know it went up a ridiculous amount for people being prescribed hard drugs, because now people can literally go on an application, put in their symptoms, and they can get drugs that way without even having to go see a doctor. There are many ways around it now, which is just so messed up.
All medicine in the UK are supplied by India. It is difficult to imagine how world would be able to combat AIDS without India, because globally over 80% of antiretroviral drugs which is using to combat AIDS are supplied by India.
Well, one would hope that that was never an issue in the first place. So...
Known as the potential superpower, India is the second most populous country in the world and its potential is unlimited. The country has largest young force in the world, more than 50% of its population below the age of 25 and more than 65% of its population below the age of 35. And this young power is helping India to become an economic superpower like USA, China and European Union. But still, if you think that...
That is something that's good though, because with having a younger population that's actually larger than the older population, it's far greater, because right now, what is it? in the US, people are refusing to have kids, or they're not having as much. There's just this whole new movement of things that when the older generation, like the grandparents, all pass on, there's going to be a huge vacuum of, because there's not going to be enough people to take the place of like jobs in certain locations, which is why machines are taking the spot. But at the same time, there's just going to be a huge void left.
India is a poor country, then let me tell you that Indian household own the largest amount of gold, 25,000 tons to 30,000 tons, which is worth over $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion, and it is more than the economy of Australia, South Korea and Italy. Even Indian temple alone have 4,000 to 5,000 tons of gold, which is worth more than $300 billion, and is more than the economy of New Zealand and Finland. Indians are just love golds and jewelry, and that's why India is the biggest consumer of gold, silver, jewelry and gems. Many people in the world, mostly in the West, use HDI and per capita to criticize India, but they forget that India is the fastest growing major economy in the world. Currently, India's HDI is considered in the medium category, which is expected to move to the high human development category by 2025.
Well, and not only that, is they probably have more doctors in the U.S. around the world, because heck, I can't go to I can't see like if you go see new doctors, you always have to test them out. And out of 3 out of the 10 will be from India. It's just always the case. I mean, I think my pediatrician growing up was from India. I think my first dentist growing up was from India. Yeah, so those two alone, it's just...
Even today, 14 Indian states are comes in the high human development category, and 13 Indian states are very close to achieve this. And many Indian states have more GDP per capita than the per capita of many European countries. Well, India is 7 to 10 times cheaper than the Europe and America. India is just like China. As China developed itself in the past, today India is developing in the same way. According to recent UN study, the country has lifted more than 415 million people out of poverty since 2005, and according to World Bank, poverty in India has reduced by 12.3% between 2011 to...
Yeah, start comparing that to other, like the Western nations. You'll realize that the Western nations are getting, going the opposite direction.
2019, from 22.5% in 2011 to only 10% in 2019. And according to recent study of IMF, India has almost wiped out extreme poverty. The percentage of people living in the extreme poverty in India is only 0.8% now. The country is home to the rich culture and spirituality. No country in the world as diverse as India. There are 28 states and 8 union territories in India, and they all have their own culture, music, languages, dresses and food. And no country in the world is more colorful than India. Even India has entire colorful cities like Jaipur, the city of pink, Udaipur, the city of white, Jodhpur, the city of blue, Jaisalmer, the city of gold, and Kanyakumari, the city of 7 colors. India is the whole world itself. India has snow like Greenland, beauty like Switzerland, desert like Arab, wildlife like Africa, beautiful cities like Europe, forest like Brazil, and mountains like Japan. Even India has a white desert also. 100,000 of beautiful temples, historical monuments, incredible architecture sites, extremely beautiful hill stations like Manali, Nainital, Simla and Spiti Valley. India is just incredible. India is transforming itself as a global economic powerhouse. The country is home to the highest number of under construction mega projects in the world. Project Bharatmala cost $140 billion. Project Sagarmala cost $130 billion. Project DMIC cost
But these are all very beneficial. Like roadways, having great roadways is one of the best things you can do for a booming location. It makes it so much easier without traffic jams. You're always going to get traffic jams, but as long as people can get to where they're going, it allows people more opportunities. This one too. I mean, they're spending a lot of money on it but it's gonna bring in far more capital in the long run. These investments were always well worth it.
$100 billion. Projects 100 smart city cost $100 billion. These are few projects out of them. As well as the country is spending a massive amount of $1.5 trillion to modernize and develop its infrastructure. Along with this, seeing the growth of country's urbanization, India is also creating many new and futuristic cities like GIFT City, Dholera SIR and Amravati Smart City. The fastest growing major economy, the fastest growing major stock market, the fastest growing startup ecosystem, healthcare, technology, infrastructure and industries, India is performing excellent, and this is what the world should know about India.
Yeah, that is what should be known. But yeah, I mean, sure, I'm pretty sure that certain things are always going to be different. Because heck, I go when I was in Alaska, it was completely different than being here in California. It's just one of those things that it's just the way things are in Alaska. Heck, you're there in the winters when it's like, using the Celsius, it's like below 30 and pipes are frozen over. You can't even flush the toilet because, well, everything has solidified due to the ground is so frozen, it's frozen through the earth. And yeah, it's you learn to live certain ways. You learn to live certain ways, and it's you just do that. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this. Most of that I've already known because I've been so immersed in, the movies and not the films that they want you to watch, but the actual good films, the ones that come from India, that are praised in India, that for some reason never make it out of India. They tend to stay there unless you're at a theater, which is like in a huge city that just happens to be showing a one-day premiere of that viewing. It's just like, what the heck? That makes no gosh dang sense. Oh, yet these trashy Hollywood movies go everywhere. Occasionally there's some good ones, or some just turn off your brain and enjoy the film type ones, but gosh, I'm tired of those. There are too many of those. I can go back and watch some that I know I would like. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Yeah, this was interesting. A lot I knew. Some of it was actually really fascinating. I enjoyed seeing the fact that they spent so much on infrastructure. That's always something that needs to be done. That's something that they refuse to do here in the US. Like I said in one of my other videos, one thing they need is dams, because in California, we deal with droughts every year. Not so much this last year because there was a heavy downpour, but all that water is not stored anywhere now because the reservoir is all filled up once again. But without dams, we had to get rid of all the excess. And that's just one of the things they have refused to do. They decided to build a bullet train for reasons when the people are still using planes to get from location to location, and bullet train is literally going to cost the same amount as the plane. And remember, California is like on the center of a fault line, so how long I think it'd be safer to take the plane. Yeah, so infrastructure is very important. Plan for what you need, not because, oh, it'll look cool. A bullet train looks cool, so let's get the bullet train. No, we don't need a bullet train. We need a dam. Build a dam. Build several dams. Just build it. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you next time. Toodles.